One of my students, Alex, probably over 30 sundog fights. And that guy would kick people in the head every fight. It was like his thing he wanted to do. But he would tell you, this is easily, there's a difference between fighting in the street and fighting in the ring. He's there trying to show off his skills. Totally different concept. So this circular chamber, I'm going to do it first with a front kick. So look, I'm going to bring the leg in this way, right? And you'll be surprised at how much power, or more power this will generate. I don't need to do anything weird with my body. Just circle and come back and drop. Okay? Just up and out, right? And then from an open stance, does the same thing. Brings it up, and in your mind, think when you're doing this kick that the knee is moving in a counterclockwise circle, right? And then it goes out. And this is. Just like that, right? With me, please? Yeah. So, counterclockwise circle and kick. Okay, so more to front kicks and all of that stuff, just like position kick. And now we're going to look at side kick. If I was taking somebody to compete in Sanda, if they wanted to do long extended body movements for a side kick, that's great, but in theory and in premise, I don't need to do those moves in Sanda. I don't need to do them in competition of any kind, and I definitely don't need to do them in street stuff. Not saying that they're not effective, not saying that they're not beneficial to my body and to my health and training. But you have to look at it. The elongation of the body. Do I really need to do that to generate the power? So if you look at the side kick, or the way that I'm going to share it, as I chamber, my hip is facing this way, right? When I go to execute the kick, I'm going to turn my hip this way. But look at me. I'm not doing this, and I'm not, I still have the ability to use both of my hands and almost, not equally, but very much so I can still use both hands. If I lean away, I don't even have the ability to make contact with the lead, let alone the back. So, from here, again, I'm going to bring the leg up, the hip is flat to the front. I'm going to turn the hip toward the attack, and I want to concentrate on the heel, and then I can also contract these muscles to generate even more power. Right now, we're just going through the skeletal structure. So up, you hit. Again. So he brings the leg up. He turns the hip as a secondary motion. So he's like this first, right? And then when he goes to extend the foot, he's going to turn the hip, and the hip and the heel are going to connect, and that's what's going to generate the power into my leg. Yep, up and turn. And I bring it right back. Right, and you know, if you do Tai Chi, you do these extended kicks and you bring the leg back and do the next move. You can do that with the other side, do the same thing. So what I'm getting at is you want to have that balance and control at the end of the action. So in a closed or open stance and doing a side kick towards the inside, this shows that this can be problematic. What I mean by that is me raising the leg and me kicking. Look what it does to me. It puts my flank side exposed to Jonathan. If he decided to move forward, right? Or easier for Jonathan to pull the leg across toward the front side of himself. This way. Pull it this way. The leg might not be out. So you go. Move in this way. There you go. Right, so say I'm here with Jonathan and we're in this stance and he does this side kick, right? And look, it's plant size exposed to me. It's easier for me to grab the leg and move into the inside, especially if you elongate your body, right? So like I'm like this, and I could kick Jonathan in the leg or even in the torso, right? And I turn me over really far. Really easy for Jonathan to use his rear leg arm to pull me across, right? Is that right? Pull it across the other leg. Yeah. Right. So you're like this, right? And wipe across, right? So you can see the leg. Right. And then all you have to do is move into the inside. So you need to be careful when you do the side kick. Again, if I do it from here, and I keep me flat, right? I can turn the hip and not turn my waistline and keep me functionally into the front. But again, it has some disadvantages. The same thing with this kick. I can use the flat of the foot, or I can use the heel portion. And if I can use linear lines, right, to create this kick. And kind of like a cross between a side kick and a crescent kick. I'm going to use that same circular action that I used before, and I'm going to do a side kick to him to his torso front and stay where you were. So as I bring the leg up, I kick this way, right? So I'm bringing it up in this circle. No, this way. Yeah. Really a good shot to the guy's gut, especially he's turning like this on you, kind of bringing it around to the side. So he's going to try it on me. Okay, use the heel, right? Comes up and this way. This way. Yeah. Again, try. So to me, the side kick is really good for the thigh, the inside and the outside of the thigh, right? Say even in this position, say I want to use the rear leg, and usually my rear leg becomes my front leg when I use it. There's more to what I'm sharing with you. I'm just focusing on the kick. Can you do that, please? Usually in this type of situation, just as a quick example, he goes to strike with the lead. I may step to the side, and now I'm going to use this leg to kick, right? Usually I'm not going to bring the rear forward. Usually if I'm going to, it's just like we're punching, right? If I'm punching this guy, it's easy for me to create an opening to bring this power punch through, right? If I'm not kicking or punching, it's hard for me to deliver with the back, right? We'll say it's easier, it's more exposed. The same thing with the kicking, right? If I'm generating kicks with this, easier for me to bring something through. If I'm not, and I just try to bring the legs in the back, based on the turn of the body and the longer length, easier for him to have time to counter it. So moving to the side, kicks like this are much more, much better. So, again, this video is not to explain all of these kicks in super detail, just enough to get an idea of some of the kicks that we use. Then we've got a cross kick. Master Chong liked this kick so much that he integrated it into Chong Tai Chi. The kick is done this way, right? And whether we're in a closed stance, right? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to raise the knee to pull it up, to change it. I can do this also from a swing, right? I can do like, say I do it off the back. I can do it like this, easily. It's a pretty powerful kick. If I do it off the lead, look, I can kick this direction, I can bring it up, and then rotate it over. But it's a very effective kick. So, again, I'm going to raise the kick up, and look, I'm going to point with the heel, right? I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to crack with the heel, things like this. You generate a lot of power. Think if you can knock a person out with your hand, and your leg is 3 times the size, Do you really think that you need all of this additional momentum to create enough power on your part to damage him? Of course not. So let's see, look at Jonathan to do the kick. So he brings the leg up, the knee up, and then he's going to turn the foot out. Yeah, and look, he would end up trying to do like this. He was trying to keep this bent, and the more that he can concentrate in the heel, the more painful the kick is going to be. Yes, that's it again. So when you kick, almost bounce off of it. Bam, after the power. If not, you kind of drag on the person, right? So boom, and then you just let it come back, and then you set it down. So you have more stability in the kick. Okay, not bad. From a close stance. All right, so he's going to attack the leg again. So he brings the knee up, and he's going to turn the heel over, and he's going to strike into the leg. And look, if you think about it, I'm turned this way, right? When I go to execute this kick, I'm going to turn the hip flat, and I'm going to contract the core, like this. Okay? You want to feel this tightness, and the more upright you are, the more you can generate with the kick in that way. Yeah. So look, it comes up, I turn the hip, and I strike. And I flex. Very useful. Again? Yeah, again. Yeah, again. Good. Okay. We have just a couple more pieces that, let's see if Jonathan's bags will hold out for us. So we're going to look at a toe kick. So like if you went to sundial, you're not wearing shoes. So I wouldn't recommend the toe kick. Now you can use the instep, the top of the foot. But the toe wouldn't be effective. But in we'll say in a street situation, utilizing, say you've got a work boot or a hiking boot or a pretty heavy walking shoe, even a dress shoe, a nice leather dress shoe, right? You can use the toe of the shoe in which to attack, like the liver, the spleen. You could attack the short ribs. You could hit them into different spots on the legs, the calf. If you were really, utilizing more of a long range, you could go even higher, right? So with this kick, there is kind of like a whipping action where the leg's somewhat chambered and extends, and then also just a straight leg kick. So we're going to do it both ways. We're going to in our close stance, and I'm going to bring this leg up, and I'm not going to chamber it. And I'm going to try to hit Jonathan in here, right? So again, like this, somebody's messing with you just here, right inside of the leg. Very painful. That gives you an opportunity to walk off with it or to move forward with your attack, right? So again, I didn't chamber it. I'm just pushing off the floor and coming up and tagging. He does the same thing with me. So, amen. Strike it right inside. So again, if you see, I'm going to pull my body, right? I pull in, and I pull back with the arm, right? To give you that extra power. So from here, look. I'm not going to use momentum before. I'm going to pull it off the ground. And at the same time, like if I was going to use a secondary engagement, right? He's here, and I kick into the leg, and I've used my elbow to help me to engage my core, and then as I release, I can come right back with this strike. Very, very good setup. Same thing from an open stance. Again, I mean, attacking in the calf, very painful, but it helps me to stay a little bit away from his hand. I like to be in here, but look, I didn't lean away. I squatted onto my leg. Right? I squatted into my leg. So he does it to me. Right? He bends in that back leg, and again, do it to the side, right? In here. Or I can do it here. Kicking in the kidney, and the spleen, the liver, short ribs, or if he's turned really flat, like say he's bleeding this way, and throw the foot out. Immediately draw it back. I mean, think about it. You get on a nice solid work boot or something like that, and somebody's messing with you, you come in and just keep on the leg. Would you prefer it in the situation right then? You know, you call me like maybe kicking in the leg a couple of times to hit a one. That would be better than having to go through a full engagement. So he does it to me, right? He brings it up and then he's going to let the foot whip through. Yeah. So again, just an overview of the kicks. And the other two kicks they look the same, but they're useful in the sense that I don't really have to pick my leg up too far. I have to get in striking range and do them. The first one is fighting. So my teacher really likes this move. He loves to execute it, and it's a conservative, it's a safe move for you. You know, in other words, it keeps stability. At the same time, it can cause a lot of discomfort when you kick somebody with it. So again, I'm going to use the front side of my shin, and I'm going to drive it into the side of his leg in here. So from here, I'll come through like this. And if you see what I'm doing, I'm coming through like this, and I'm going to almost skip on my heel, right? So let's see Jonathan do it on me. Okay. So try not to travel with it, right? Like, what I mean is kick and then put it down like this. But when I kick, I'm going to kind of drag the foot into the action because I've got a secondary movement that I'm going to do with it. But just in a fight in here, when you're doing this to the guy, excellent foot. I mean, it'll make you think, right? Yeah, got that. A little higher. Pull the toes toward the shin. Against it. Yeah, again. Great. So the secondary action of this, if I just want to T-boning in the leg. And I can do this from side to side. Like, he's got this lead, and say I attack this leg and he steps back, right? So I go, bam! I can try to use the same leg again. So I go kick, right? And then step it back, leg back. So from here, if the guy moves the leg back, just drive across to the other side, right? So again, the guy, trying to get him, I'm using this, he moves the leg back, and just drive to the other side. So think of it as biting. And then the secondary action of it is trying to take his leg out, right? So I take it and I kick it, and then from here, I'm going to roll the leg down. You can twist his ankle or his knee from doing this one action. You can never mess up the lower leg a lot. But most people do this move, and I'm going to do it like this. Most people do this wrong. They get like this, and they think that to make this happen, that they'll end up trying to pick up the heel and do it like this, or they'll do it like this, right? And that's not going to work. This engagement that I have here, I want to push the knee forward. See? If I try to push the foot down, it's not really going to do anything. And then, again, some people try to do it like this. The heel's up and they try to do that. Neither one. I'm on the heel, and then I'm going to drive the knee forward. Okay? And so biting and rubbing, biting is more the striking aspect of it. The rubbing is more the security part. Now, I can do it like this too, and not try to strike him, and then utilize the rubbing. Right? You can do that like cooking with it, all kinds of stuff. It's a great movement to, again, for my security. If I can strike him and I can do this move, it's a very good move. He's getting attacked in 2 spots. I still have both feet on the ground, and very stable approach. So anyway, a lot more to this the kicking, but just an overview. And just to cover 2 or 3 things that I feel people have questions over. Hands, arms, and the core. Okay, so let's look at it like he puts his leg forward, and when you're doing this and you're kicking like this, there's nothing wrong with it, but it exposes your head, right, to a strike, and your body weight is leaning backwards, so it's easier if he catches it to potentially help you to destabilize yourself and lose your balance. But the swing of the arm, right, it helps to generate momentum, but it only helps you to engage for more power when the arm comes to a point where it can engage with the core. But once it's past it, or before it, you're not going to have that engagement. So you want to make sure that the arm swing correlates with the kick and the core muscles. In the way that I'm kicking, I'm using the elbow to engage the core. I'm like this, and these things work together, right? These things work together. If I'm using any momentum, or I'm using any power, it's minimal. And to me, it makes more sense. It's easier for me to follow up and punch, or grab, or to defend a strike than me swinging my arm back. Personal preference. Head in position. In the beginning, or even after, we do it a year later, looking down at people's feet. You don't want to do that. Just like if he's got his hands up, I don't want to look at his hands per se. I want to look at his whole of him, or his body, how it's moving. But when I kick, a lot of people, I say we do a front kick, and when they kick, their chin will come back. And in turn, your weight is falling to the back. It's easier for the guy to move in, push you back, or it's harder for me to recover. Whereas if I keep my chin flat and I kick from here, right, and my weight's going down. The same thing if I tuck my chin forward. In the striking range in here, right, I want to have my chin down a little bit. I don't want to have it up, and it's easier for him to hit me. Now, if I was in a clinch, different, right? I almost, in a lot of ways, I want to have my chin flat. I don't want to have it tucked in, so it's easier for him to, have a hold of the back of my neck, right? If I keep my chin up like this, then it's harder for him to be able to pull my neck, pull me down, like pull your chin down. So it's easier for me to get the grip I want. If he pushes back against it, then it's harder for me to try to control his head and the torso. As an example, right? So striking, I may want to have this tuck so it's exposed. Clinch work, I may want to keep it flat like this. So the same thing with this kicking range, right? Flat like this, so when I kick, and then if I kick it on a little bit, sure, I'll drop it down, right? But protect it. But I definitely don't want to lean back, right? Easy to lose this stability, and if you're in a kicking range and you're already have your chin down, your mass is going forward, so better to keep it flat. Why short and mid kicks with Shuai? Well, again, as I've shared, most people that do Shuai also do Shuai, and they practice long range kicking in the sport. It doesn't mean that you have to go and compete in Sanda and do long range. You can do short range. There's one guys that compete in Sanda, and of course, they don't use long range. They use short and mid range kicking and striking. A preference, right? But it's an opportunity to work on those techniques for me as a practitioner and teacher. But to me, Chiao is a short, sticking, adhering range martial art. So my kicking is to get me excited, and I want to get this attachment so that I can throw this guy, or I can trip him to get him